smoke and now enjoy the program. Thank you for being part of the Cigar Club fam.
What's going on, Cigar Club family? Welcome back to another Cigar Club podcast. I'm David Pugh. Joining me, as always, is Griff Howie. Today, we've got two extra special guests with us. We've got Peter and Angelo over here at Bello Cigars, where we are blending Customs 2023, the return of the location of the original, the first Customs ever, Ocho. We knew we had to come back here when blending Customs for 2023. Gentlemen, thank you for having us here. We've got the first test blend in our hand here. Griff's way ahead of the game. No shock there. We've got some wonderful Cuban coffee. It's an early morning. So yeah, if you could tell us a little bit about yourselves for anyone that isn't familiar with Bello Cigars, the history of Bello Cigars.
Well, Bello Cigar is owned by the original Bello family. We started in Cuba in 1896 with my great-grandfather. Now my son Angelo happens to be the fifth generation. We used to grow tobacco in Cuba and manufacture cigars, both. Later on, because of the revolution, we decided to leave the country. Went to different other places where we could grow the Cuban seed tobacco, which would be like Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, Honduras. And that's what the family has been doing for over 35 years. We have two types of productions. We have the production made by Cuban cigar rollers here in the heart of Little Havana, Miami. And we also have our main production in Nicaragua, also supervised by the family. Normally, I'm the one who is growing the tobacco and supervise the factory overseas. Angelo with my wife Teresa, my daughter Gabriela, they are the ones who run the factory here in Miami. We're glad to have you guys here.
Thank you.
It was, great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That you guys decided to come
Also,
to
one thing I
Miami.
want to say, the same way we make cigars today are the same ways we made it in 1896.
That's great.
Nothing has really changed during the process.
That's crazy.
We're keeping all the same traditions.
Yeah.
The only difference, of course, that we're not using Cuban tobacco.
Sure.
But we are using the best Cuban tobacco seeds. Those are the ones that we grow in Nicaragua. And the process of curing the tobacco, exactly the same way my great-grandfather started doing it. Actually, one of the techniques that we use is to cure the tobacco with a Spanish red wine to get rid of all the bitterness and the aftertaste.
Can you go a little, when you say curing it with Spanish red wine, is that in barrels or what's the process?
We do it in two ways. We have, because also has to do with depending what kind of filler we're going to use. Some of them, we do it in the barrel. Some we use it what is called the pilon. And so from the moment we bring it from the tobacco house to our bodega, and we start doing the pilon, we start adding the wine. And a certain percentage of wine that you put to make sure you don't overdo it. You want your tobacco to be cured and to have a very slightly taste of the red wine, but not overdo it. You want your cigar to taste just like tobacco.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sure.
So
One of the main reasons we do that is to take away the bitterness.
Gotcha.
of the cigar. That's
I've never heard of that
I was about to say that's
type of process.
never would have ever thought that would be, and that was a traditional way.
been going on for years and years.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
we have all the different techniques also, but if I tell you, then I have to end up killing you.
Yeah.
Well, it's
You-
a short trip for me.
You can kill Pugh, but just don't tell me.
Oh, you'd find out soon.
I think Pugh and I are obviously, and all of CigarClub Customs members are so excited that, well, actually, do they know we're here? Like, do they know that we're doing this?
They will.
A blend here?
They
Okay.
will by the time this comes out.
CigarClub Customs Ocho was such a hit. I was like, we've got to come back and see Peter and Angelo and do another iteration of a blend. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's something special about your very first cigar for Customs, and the inaugural blend was Ocho, and that I think for that initial launch in 2021 was by far the most popular. And I have a couple left, you know, and revisiting every once in a while, just kind of take you back to that moment is something truly special. So we had to come back here and do another iteration. We are all smoking the same blend right now.
Number one.
Number one, if you could tell us a little bit about the wrapper binder filler, and then you had a really great story about your grandfather and why there was a pigtail and a closed foot. I'd love for you, if you would, to share that with everyone. I thought it was amazing.
The reason why my grandfather used to smoke the cigars, that would be a full body cigar, but not as full body like when we make a Maduro, is because he would be smoking cigars all day long while he was working the tobacco field. So he came out with a blend of medium to full, more on the full side than the medium. And he would do a cigar with a big ring gauge, exactly the size, I don't remember because I was very young at the time.
Sure.
But it looked more like, I say, a 58 to a 60 ring gauge, which that was not common in those days. Normal people in those days would be smoking like a Corona, or if anything, a Churchill. He did it this way because, again, he would smoke so much, he wanted his cigar to last longer. And a couple of things that I discovered later on through my father was that he always had his custom-made cigars, the ones that the factory used to make for him to smoke, with a pigtail and also closed on the front. And I always found that the cigar that is closed on the front, like sometimes you smoke at the Adema or Solomon, they're kind of hard to draw at the beginning.
Very much so.
Because they're closed on the front. So my father says, listen, he doesn't close in that type of shape. It's just to cover the front so the humidity stays inside until he's ready to smoke the cigar. He felt that, if you close one end of the cigar because you want the humidity to stay there until you were ready to light it up, then a good way to keep the humidity would be to trap it in there and just keep it closed. So that's one of the things that he used to do, and that's what I'm trying to, show my customers now. Listen, this is how we do it. It's not to make it look strange, but there's a
practical reason. Yeah, because if you're out in the field all day, or even just nowadays downtown or away from home, you don't necessarily want to have to go through the process of making sure your cigar is properly humidified. Chances are it'd still be okay, but having that added layer of ensuring the quality as you go to smoke it. And I believe you were saying the pigtail was just because he didn't have a cutter.
Right.
At the time, just
it is a lot
pop it off, good to go.
And that was in the old days. Even right now, I'm the type of person that, for me, it's hard to have a lighter or matches.
You got this whole process of, we all, just popped it off. I mean, it's perfect.
Just twist it and light it up.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing. And I always assumed, people nowadays, at least closed foots, you taste the wrapper when you first smoke it, which maybe.
Yeah.
But I like the practical reason behind that. It makes a ton of sense.
Can you give us some details around this cigar specifically?
That cigar has a blend that takes Ligero, good Ligero from Esteli. We put a whole leaf.
Okay.
The Ligero that we use for Esteli is pretty strong, but it's got very good flavors. Not only the strength, because you want to look for the flavor and the aroma.
Right.
In the Ligero. The binder that we use is Habano binder. The fillet that we use is from Jalapa. The tobacco from Jalapa has got a sweet taste.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anytime you mix that tobacco, you're going to have that note of hazelnut, soft, sweet. It's going to be completely different than when you just use Condega or you use Ometepe or some other, the different types of tobacco. But in this one especially, we put the Jalapa with the Habano binder, the Ligero from Esteli, and then the wrapper is Habano from Ecuador.
Okay.
Because there's two different Habanos. You got the Habano from Nicaragua and the Habano for  I find more flavor and more aroma in the Habano from Ecuador. Also, we use Viso.
Okay.
Viso helps the ligero. So it's making it strong, but you will not feel it like when we make our brand La Sabana, which is a whole line of Maduro. And that's for somebody who enjoys maybe 1 or 2 cigars a day.
Yeah.
The idea is to make a blend for people that could enjoy a full body cigar. But if they're like me, they smoke a couple of cigars daily,
Sure.
they would feel comfortable. They would not say, well, you know what, I had 1 cigar for the day, that's good
You
enough.
can't
I
have
went
any more
to
after that.
tomorrow."
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, that's this is incredible. I love this size.
They're so creamy.
It's
bitterness
it's creamy,
whatsoever.
but there's a little bit of spice from
Yep.
that. SLE
The whole leaf of ligero is
and the
what-
Ligero. Yeah, I was about to say. So does the
No worries.
no, you're you were saying that you added Viso to counterbalance the Ligero. Is that for like construction and burn, or is that more for the profile?
Actually, what to burn is the wrapper. I mean, the binder. Because you use Habano from Ecuador wrapper, and you use Habano binder from Nicaragua.
Okay.
So that combination is good to burn. Now, for the flavor and the strength, and also helps to burn this, it would be the Viso, the combination of Viso with Ligero.
Okay. Gotcha.
What do we say? Lighting up the second one?
Sure. Yeah.
What do you guys recommend in terms of order here?
Okay, I would go with another blend, which, to be honest with you, I'm not familiar with that because Angelo made this one in Miami.
Cool.
Okay.
And I was overseas in Nicaragua.
Sure.
So he's got the blend.
That one has the blend, so that's gonna be a medium body blend.
Okay.
And that one has Dominican and it has Nicaragua. A Dominican and Nicaragua blend on that one.
Okay.
Okay. Whereas
This one?
this one right here, it's all Nicaraguan.
Okay.
Okay, the first
Now
one.
remember that Dominican that we use is called Olor Dominicano,
Okay.
which again is, to me, is one of the best tobaccos out of Dominican Republic.
We're all going to watch Pugh light it and cut it now.
Yeah.
Don't screw up. What was y'all's thought process on the size of these cigars?
This particular size, that's just personal preference.
Cool.
We like the bigger size. The reason why we made it like that is because this right here, if you notice, it's kind of short. It's kind of like a Toro.
Yeah.
A little bit bigger than Toro. We call it a Gordo.
Okay.
Kind of like a Gordo. But to be honest, we can, any size is good because once you put the ligero, that's what really gives it its
Yeah.
spice. So now remember, the smaller the cigar and the more ligero you put, the stronger it's going to feel the impact. This kind of like distributes the tobacco evenly.
Got it.
Also, I believe in, which a lot of people are not going to like what I'm going to say because they don't want, but a drum master. The reason why I don't use a drum master is because I believe that if the cigar rollers that we hire and they come from good factories and they have experience, if in the palm of their hands they don't know if the cigar is going to draw or not, then they don't qualify to work for the Bello family.
Wow.
So the draw master is when you're doing a production and you have doubts if your cigar is going to draw or not. So I don't believe in draw master. I'm not criticizing the factories that use it.
Sure.
They have a reason to use it. We don't. We're old school and we believe that the cigar roller needs to know that the cigar has to have a perfect draw. So why did I mention this? Because we're talking about the size. A lot of times people were finding out before that the thinner the cigar, the harder the draw. Now, the wider the cigar, the easier it's going to be the draw.
Sure. You've
The
got.
only difference is that you're going to smoke a little bit slower because you don't want to heat up your cigar.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
A lot of people say, what is the correct way of holding cigars? You hold cigars the way you like it, how you feel comfortable. Now, us as tobacco, you see how you guys are holding it? Look how I'm holding it. The reason why, because I wanted my fingertips to be touching the cigar, so that way I could tell if I'm smoking too fast or not.
Feel that?
I want to feel if the cigar is heating up.
Yeah.
If it's heating up, I know I'm smoking
Slow
too
down a little bit, yeah.
If I slow down, cigar is going to burn nice and even, and it's going to be more comfortable. So big ring gauges, I know they're very popular now. They were not traditional in the old days. But people like it because of that. The draw is a lot easier.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You get a Lancero. That's probably, and it's funny, that's probably one of the thinner cigars in the market,
Sure.
but it's the harder cigar to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put too much pressure, you clog the cigar, you cannot get the draw.
Yeah.
On the big ones, it's going to be very rare that you're going to be able to find a cigar that doesn't draw.
Yeah, you've got more surface area.
Of course.
And then with the Lancero, not only is it a smaller ring gauge, but you've got to draw that, your smoke through that 7.5 length cigar. You've got to be very mindful when you smoke a Lancero because it's, you got to make sure your draw is right, but you're not smoking, you're not overheating it because they
Right.
can really take off. And I think he said we were doing it right. I think it's about the first time anyone said we did something
Well, I was
right.
just gonna say, like, I've never notated how I hold a cigar, but when you just said, feeling it, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's genius.
But it was funny because
Yeah.
I'm looking at both of you guys, and you guys are holding it the same way I hold it.
Yeah. And it makes it maybe it's subconscious, but as I hold this, there's certainly been times where I can feel, the cherries here, and,
Right.
and I'm like, all right, I need to,
Slow down.
put it down for a
See,
minute or two.
What happens is when you smoke a pipe, every once in a while, I enjoy smoking a pipe.
Yeah.
And I had 3 different pipes. Because one is heating up, I change it to the other one. Once that one starts heating up, but with the cigars, you're not going to do it to 3 cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Cigars, you only got one, and you got to make sure that you don't heat up the cigar so you don't damage a good
Handmade,
handmade cigar.
Yeah.
Again, it's personal. It's just like the cut. People ask you, which is the best cut for your cigar? Best cut is the one that you like.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you ask me, I go with a V cut. I had noticed sometimes when you use the punch, you push the tobacco and you might clog the cigar.
Yeah.
You use the guillotine, you go too low, you could damage the wrapper,
Yep.
or you take way too much smoke in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you use the V cut, you get the exact amount of smoke you're supposed to have in your mouth every time you puff.
Yeah.
So like I say, this is something very personal, but from my experience, and I've been smoking, just to give you an idea, first cigar I put in my mouth, I was 7 years old,
Wow.
back in Cuba.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't have lollipops over there.
There you go.
And I'm 65. I smoke between 8 to 10 cigars a day.
Wow.
So by now, I don't think I know it all, but I got an idea.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
I was about to say, there's probably not too much more. There's always something to learn, but
Yeah, right.
you've got the
Every
experience
day.
now.
Every
Yeah,
day you
absolutely.
learn something new.
So just to talk a little bit about Blend 2, since we all get to watch me enjoy it, unless you want to chomp on with me.
Do you have another blend too?
Not of that one.
Okay. Well,
me.
we're gonna have to.
Trust my expertise.
Yes, we are.
Yikes. Completely different, a lot sweeter than the Blend number 1.
So what's a little different in that one, you're gonna have Dominican Viso,
Okay.
and you're gonna have half a leaf of the Ligero that we put in the first blend. You're gonna have half a leaf.
I was going to comment, the strength is noticeably different.
For a full leaf, though,
It's not.
I'm not
Yeah.
getting a whole lot of strength.
For this one.
Yeah, which is awesome.
I think that's a
Yeah.
compliment.
Yeah.
It's very well balanced. You're not
That was the idea.
you're
Yeah.
not getting kicked on your ass.
I mean, sometimes you can be like,
smoking
"Oh,
it. Yeah.
wow, this is going to be a
Super
powerhouse."
strong. Yeah.
I have yet to get
But
that.
if you notice on this one, you're going to get a little spice that you would not get on that
Correct. I was
Yeah,
going to say
that's,
that one. I got a nice little spice around my lips, maybe
Yeah.
the tip of my tongue, or the back of my tongue rather. And this one, you get the sweetness on the tip of your tongue,
Correct.
without that spice. And the retro nice is really nice on this one. However, that first blend is still just
It's really good.
yeah, it's still really really good. But this is also not to say that this isn't fit.
Very good.
Actually, one thing that I want to do is the Speciales, the one that Angelo blend, because there we have for each, want to make sure that they both agree with the flavor, the aroma.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
You want to do that one?
No, it's all you.
that's
We're putting you on the
another-
pressure on the spot.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get blend 3 going here. Although, let's
Need to fill the empty air.
Let's just watch you. So,
slow mo.
what's the breakdown of this blend here?
Okay, so that one is gonna have a quarter leaf of the ligero. So we kept
Down, down, down.
We kept down because we want to see what level of strength you guys want to get to.
Sure.
That one has a quarter leaf of ligero, and it has the same Dominican viso.
Okay.
Binder Nicaragua, ligero Nicaragua. The wrapper on that one's a Connecticut shade, so it's that one's gonna be
Ecuadorian wrapper.
yeah.
I don't know why I feel like you're going to really like this one.
2 for 2 so far on liking him.
You guys gotta wait until you try the Speciales.
I'm excited. We're just going to watch.
Okay, we'll slow mo it. With this Connecticut shade, I can really pick up those Dominican fillers. Kind of it lets the filler take the forefront as opposed to the other 2 wrappers were kind of playing a more integral part. This is a cream bomb. I mean, this is very creamy smoke texture and flavor.
I'm really liking this particularly. And I can start feeling the strength a little bit as I'm smoking it. It's a slow creep.
Yeah. No, it's
But
not.
it's
anything.
nothing
You always gotta
offensive.
keep in mind that always the first inch and a half of the cigar,
It's going to be a
you
little
won't
more.
be able to appreciate exactly the blend.
Sure.
Once you smoke the first half inch, then it start changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then by now you should feel
Yeah.
it a little bit
Yeah. It's
heavier.
absolutely correct. Can you guys talk a little bit about the shop here in Little Havana? How long have you been at this location?
Yeah, we happen to be the older cigar factory
Okay.
in Miami, not only in Little Havana. Being in this location 23 years.
Wow.
Before we were in Flagler Street. We were there like 7 years.
A couple blocks away from here. So yeah, in total in the Little Havana area, 30 years.
Wow.
We've been in the Little Havana
Yeah,
area.
we have been
That's
around
amazing.
for a long time. We happen to be the only Cuban family that were tobacconists in Cuba,
Okay.
and we continue the family tradition. Like I said, my wife Teresa, my daughter Gabriela, my older son Angelo, they're in charge of the shop here in Miami. I'm in charge of the tobacco fields and the cigar factory in Nicaragua. Right now, a lot of people are interested in learning about the Cuban culture.
Yeah.
So, we get visitors here all day long
That's great.
that later on have become customers for many, many years.
Wow.
They
Yeah.
come, they purchase the cigar, they love it, and they order it online and on.
And it's funny because even people that aren't cigar aficionados or, it's become like a landmark. Like you come to Miami, you have to come to the Bello Cigar Company and have a cigar.
That's awesome.
Even if you don't smoke, you got to
Sure.
stop by.
That's great.
So it's
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So you've seen, being here for 30 years, specifically in this spot for 23, you've seen a lot of changes, not only in the community, but probably, to your point, cigar culture and people being interested in cigars. Has that?
Yes. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what that change has looked like over the years?
One thing that I noticed is that a lot of people are giving up cigarettes. Don't ask me why, but they come here and they say, look, I smoke cigarettes. I give up cigarettes. I try cigars. I love cigars. I don't want to continue smoking cigars. So I see that today there's more cigar smokers, at least that visit us or Little Havana, than the ones that were smoking cigarettes. So the industry is doing very well. For a while, because we got hit by COVID, everything slowed down, everything was really
Yeah.
a mess during the time. But Little Havana had changed, has become one of the main places for cigars. I mean, like my son said, if you come to Little Havana, you gotta have a cigars.
Yeah.
And we kind of laid back a little bit when it comes to the marketing and advertising in magazines, which now we're planning to go right back and do the same thing. But it had worked very well for a long time because mouth to mouth, people keep referring us,
That's great.
and we get repeat customers. That's the whole idea. Not
Yeah.
interested in somebody who comes and buys the cigars and goes and never see him again.
Yeah.
I want to hear this guy come back and say, "Hey, listen, I smoked this cigar, I love it, and I want to continue smoking your cigar."
Certainly.
Again, we're not saying that we got the best cigar in the world. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of cigars out there that are great, but we do the best we can.
Yeah.
We put a lot of energy, a lot of love, a lot of time
Yeah.
into this industry because it's part of our life. This is what we know how to do, and
It's in your
you
blood.
know, it's in our blood,
Yeah.
and we will continue doing it for many years, God willing.
Just the industry in general, I want to say I feel almost as if the boom from the 90s is coming back. And
Agreed.
the reason why I say that, I won't mention names, but you see, athletes, influencers, actors not promoting smoking cigars in their pastime, just
Yeah.
in their social media post.
Yeah.
It's just coming back. A couple years ago, you really wouldn't see that too much, and now just almost everybody you look at social media smoking a cigar.
Yeah, I mean, as we've talked about this before, as awful as COVID was and is, you had a lot of people that weren't able to go out and picked up smoking cigars as a way to maybe just get away from the uncertainty. And I know Griff and myself, it would be a time you dedicate to yourself, hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes, where you just go, you put down everything, life slows down when you're smoking a cigar. I know for me, it was therapy, right? Just a time that I could dedicate to myself and just escape everything that was going on. And I think a lot of people flocked to cigars for that and have continued with that, for the last several years.
Which I agree with you 100%. When I said slow down, for example, to the stores because of the lockdowns and smoke clubs. But again, people were staying home and they were buying cigars more than ever.
Yeah.
Again, it was like you said, therapy for them.
Yeah.
So yes, it did pick up in that way. I think that maybe increased the smokers. There was more smokers.
Yeah.
People that never smoked cigars before,
Yeah.
and they had all this time in the world to do it. They started smoking cigars.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the 90s were great for the industry, and I think we're in that second boom now. We're seeing a lot of new brands come up, a lot of people be introduced to cigars. The tobacco that's now available is phenomenal. Granted, I wasn't smoking in the 90s, but it seems like premium tobacco is at a really great place, and the cigar industry is really kind of embracing that. The new smoker, people Griff and I's age and younger coming into it, and I think it's a great time to be in the industry and to be smoking just some amazing cigars, such as the three that we've had here today.
Yeah.
One thing also is that during the cigar boom, there was many people that came in the business that they were not real tobacconists, and the consumers are the ones that help the manufacturers get rid of all those people that were in for a fast buck,
Yeah.
that they didn't have the experience. So now the brands that you see around the stores, they're all good brands.
Yeah.
They're all brands of people who know what they're doing, that they have been doing it for many years, that they dedicate their time and energy
Their heart's into it.
putting a good cigar out there. So it makes it a lot easier for the consumer to pick a good cigar. It's not like during the boom,
Francie.
the people were just grabbing whatever because they didn't know
Yeah.
who was manufactured, who was behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it kind of polish
Right.
the cigar industry.
Do we want to take a quick pause just so
I
they
was going
can?
to tell you guys we're going to start getting tours in right now.
That's fine.
That's fine.
They call it
We can wrap it up.
Nicaragua.
Yeah, we'll
It's
take
a
questions.
kid.
Yeah. So I'm going to put a dart on the board.
Yeah.
It's definitely this first one.
I thought so, guys. That's why I introduced it to you first. Definitely.
It's
It's
coming
amazing.
back to it after the first or the second and third. Nothing wrong with those. All phenomenal cigars, but this is what we were looking for. Kind of that reimagining of the original Ocho, stepped up to a next level, and I think this is certainly going to be the one. So we've got some tours coming in here, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Cigar Club podcast. Until next time, happy smoking.
Cheers.
Cheers.